これが一つの紛争の種になってしまうのはないかと、これをすごく心配しています。
そうですね。ありがとうございます。はい。で、ちょっと待ってくださいね。2つ目の質問もチャットでポストしますので、少々お待ちくださいね。で、2つ目の質問ですけれども、こちらですね。皆さんは一人一人の行動でどうやって平和な社会を実現させるでしょうかっていう質問ですね。
Hi, Hillary. And Mizuno-san, ちょっと待ってください. I think everybody has rejoined the meeting, so now we're in the main chat room. I will let, I believe, Elaine, if she's rejoined.
Yes.
Welcome everybody back.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for the discussion. I really enjoyed my discussion in our group. I'll now get every group to briefly highlight one idea or action item your group discussed. And please also, the note takers, post the notes of your discussion in the chat box. So I'll call on the facilitators, and if they're not doing the feedback, facilitators, please let me know who is. So maybe we'll start with Young's group.
And that's me, I'll report back. We talked about the importance of recognizing the value of people's creativity, not as productive units alone, and helping others unlock their creativity is important. And also, we talked a lot about diversity and equity and what we can do in our organizations and lives to encourage more equitable representation across different populations.
Darcy's group.
Kim and Bob are our spokespeople for that one, if they're still willing to talk on our behalf.
Sure. So we talked about greater diversity and equity, as Bill said in his group, more inclusion of voices not usually included, and that small actions multiplied by lots of people create change. So I think that's what we're here to do. Small actions multiplied by lots of people create change.
And then Cyan.
I wasn't actually moderating a group.
No.
Bill has just reported back from our group.
Okay, so do you want to report back from your group?
No, I was in Jung's group, the first group. So Bill
okay.
reported back for our group.
Someone else? Who else?
Here.
It's Hillary. Hillary.
Yes, so with technical issues, we didn't manage to get to the second question, but we talked about with the Rotarians whether the Earth will, still be around in 50 years with everything going on with climate change, ice shelves melting all over the world, really. So we were kind of thinking about it a little bit, kind of on the critical side. What will the Earth look like in 50 years if it'll actually be here? So that's kind of what we discussed.
Okay, and Norman?
Thank you, Elaine. In our group, we were talking about what a peaceful world would look like in the future and what actions we can take to make it happen. And the first big idea was about having intercultural rather than just multicultural societies, where there's much more dialogue, comprehension and understanding between people of different cultural backgrounds. And in terms of the actions, we were looking at things we can do at local level, so we can spread the message of peace, of course, but we can also perhaps take action to promote peace in our communities and reduce violence in our communities.
Thank you. Casey. Is Casey in the room? Someone else? Is there another report back? We'll need to do this quick before my son walks in.
Elena, do you want to give us our report?
Okay, yeah. So we discussed several issues. I think one of the interesting one was that we talked that we need to start from our personal level. So be aware of our privilege, also of our prejudice that may fuel conflict, and then kind of spread that message of understanding and equality and tolerance to our immediate intimate circles, and then do it in our communities, and then on a more national level. We also talked about education, we talked about the environment, and also about leadership. So it's important who the values that we that our leaders have. And finally, we said that peace is kindness. So that's something that we can all do.
Thank you. Any other groups who haven't reported back?
Sandy from Martin's group.
Yes, please.
Who's going?
Okay, reporting for the Yvette
group.
Yvette's group, we spoke about the need for equality and understanding respect for each other. We spoke about how we can agree and disagree, and working on a reform United Nations, where there's sharing of powers. That's to the first question. Regarding the second question, we believe that the need for action starts with each of us. So basically, there's lots of bodies, organizations, structures out there, and that the need for action is basically action. We need to act.
Thank you. Sandy.
Yeah, so reporting for Martin's group, just reflecting on the second question, also as in the personal level, so educating ourselves, pushing policy boundaries, and not being afraid to have conversations, and looking for opportunities to influence and change.
And Giovanna?
Elena just said our report already.
Oh, okay. Anyone else?
Our group, Elaine.
Morgan, would you like to report for us? Sure, Morgan here reporting for Rukmini's group. We discussed a range of things, as sure all groups did, but if we're looking to pull out one action, I think it would be to draw on the productive power of empathy, to connect people and to mobilize that to share resources and take action, including and especially on the part of those who are most privileged.
Thank you. And the next group?
Yeah, so we had Steve for our group. He was our reporter, if he'd like to go.
Was it Steve?
Yeah, I've posted on chat what our summary was.
Okay, do you want to highlight one point?
Really that we have to name and describe the crisis, and then we can move on if we're going to make a difference. And the other one was global communities are now a lot stronger because of Zoom and our ability to interact with each other.
Anyone else?
From our group, we had Victor, so I might call on Victor to drop his notes in the chat, but also just to give us the main point.
Okay, hello everyone. Yeah, I'm Victor, so I'm going to just give us what we discussed about, and I'll go straight to the chat box and drop it too. So we looked at, for the first question, we looked at getting rid of inequality and looking at getting quality education for all. We also looked at discouraging building of war machine and caring and looking out for each other. And then for achieving peaceful world in 10 years, we look at making peace with the environment. We also look at peace education for younger persons, especially in regions like Africa and the Middle East. And we also look at bringing in a lot of young minds to bring in the needed change that we need. And then for steps we can take to ensure a peaceful world, we look at changing government's way of thinking And then we also look at breaking down barriers, that's especially for women, more opportunities for the women in the region, and also look at access to education.
Okay. Any other groups? Victor, if you could, your team could post the notes in the chat. Any other team who haven't reported back yet?
Our team, Elaine.
Yes.
Okay, so for our group, we talked about basically in 50 years around 4 themes: a world without war, and this involves no nukes, reduction in terrorism and violent crimes, non-violence continue. Non-violence as default. This relates also to what we see in the change in people's attitude in 50 years, that there is more compassion and cooperation rather than competition, and less hate, and hate and anger is not as apparent. We also talked about social development in terms of all children having access to education regardless of their situation, and that there's less inequality. And finally, we envision a better earth and environment with better flora and fauna, better air and water, and more spending for the benefit of the planet. For this to happen, we see as an immediate step that we need to spread more kindness and empathy. We need to be grateful every day and help to educate formally and informally for a better and less unequal world. That's it.
Thank you. Any other groups? Well, I also want to, we're about to finish here, and I want to explicitly welcome the group from Lae in Papua New Guinea who have traveled from their homes to the city to watch this conference together as a group. So I want to say a special shout out to them. I also want to thank you all for contributing your thoughts today. I'm going to have to finish up because my daughter is furiously knocking on the door, wanting to get in. But thank you. We have a full 24 hours of programming. For the next 10 hours, we have an Asia-Oceania specific programming that's very interesting. I do also encourage you to join the, have a watch of the jazz performance that's about to happen in the next minute. It's worth your while. It's by peace builder Jackie Bornstein, and she will be talking about the connections between jazz and peace. It's a 15-minute performance. And then we start with our first panels. The first one will be environment and peace, as well as structural violence. So please feel free to join those two. There's also workshops taking place, positive peace workshop, and as well as the, I think there's a few. So do look at your agenda. You can change it to your time zone. So thank you very much for joining us, and I do look forward to seeing you during the course of the day, and enjoy yourself. We're all streaming in from our home, so feel relaxed and feel free to be yourself. Bye. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, we are going to end this meeting, and those of you who have joined for the structural violence, please rejoin in a couple of minutes. So we are going to end the closing plenary, and then we are going to rejoin for the structural violence on the same link. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.